Episode had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I think episode 3 is going to pick up right where episode 2 left off, with Loki going after Lady Loki through the time portal. Where they end up is anybody's guess, but here's where we're headed with this. I think Lady Loki and Loki are going to get a lot of verbal sparring time here. I'm only 75% certain that this is going to happen because there were some scenes in the trailers that showed Lady Loki fighting in the TVA. So if that time portal leads us to the TVA, we're going to get a big battle scene here. And that's why I'm saying there's a 25% chance we're going to get a battle at the TVA. Now, whether Mobius and some of these other characters actually get back there, whether Ravonna is there and they have a battle, remains to be seen. If they go someplace else, such as Vormir or some of the other places we've seen where Loki and Lady Loki are having conversations, I think we're going to get that back and forth sparring. And I really hope that that happens before we get into some big battles and some things going on at the TVA. I think it's a little soon for that, which is why I'm leaning more towards this conversational aspect and then on to this battle at the TVA. I think maybe they could happen in the same episode here, but I'm leaning towards some conversation given how dialogue heavy most of the episodes have been so far. Next, I think we're going to definitely have some fallout from losing Loki at the Roxxon facility in Alabama. The idea here that Ravonna went out on a ledge here for Mobius, that Mobius was excited and that things were happening. Minuteman B-15 was not super excited that Loki was out and about. I think she wanted to attack him. I think she was ready to put him in prison as well. And then when Lady Loki kind of puts her enchantment on B-15, and then she wakes up just as Loki is going through this time portal, is really going to cause some problems, and there's going to be a lot of fallout, whether it's with Mobius for allowing Loki to go out, or whether it's the whole TVA questioning what happened. Maybe they think hey, this is where he flips, this is where the variant takes over, I'm not really sure. But there's gotta be some fallout here from what happened. Mobius goes out on a limb, Ravonna actually steps out for him, and then this happens. I think it's gonna cause a lot of fallout, and things are gonna get a lot more tense, especially because they're sitting there at the TVA watching these timelines branch off, which leads us to the big question here. What does it mean when we hit the red line? And I really think we're going to find out in this episode. There's too many timelines and too many things going on for them to stop all of them. So which ones did they choose to stop? Which ones did they let go? What happens when that red line hits? Is it some big catastrophe like Miss Minute said in episode 1 where a multiverse war gets out of hand, where something just happens all of a sudden? I don't think so. I think the red lines are probably more of a warning, and they're able to kind of contain them. Maybe we get some more direction from the Time Lords in the form of Ravonna saying, hey, I speak for the Time Lords and some things are happening here. Or more likely, we get some aspects here of Ravonna and B-15 springing into action in the form of some new TVA tools that come into use. I'm putting both of these things tied together here, and you can see my prediction score here is pretty high. I think these things are going to happen. Ravonna and B-15 sat on the sidelines and had a lot of stuff happen to them in the last episode, and I don't think they're going to do that in this episode. We saw Ravonna, whenever the timeline started going crazy, she grabs her baton and rushes out of her office. B-15 is going to be really upset that Loki got away. And whether they take that out on Mobius or whether they go after Loki remains to be seen. But I think as we approach this red line, you're going to see some new TVA tools come into play that we haven't seen yet. I think they're going to try to contain it in a way that they haven't introduced to us yet. Or maybe it just blows up like we all hope it will. I think they're going to save that for something later, but I do think that's coming. Finally, as always, pay attention to the times and the events, and I've added the sketchy dialogue. I call this Ravonna and the 10 Rings because they spent a lot of time, too much time, in the last episode with the conversation with Mobius and Ravonna in her office where he's talking about, why are my trophies in your office? And do you have somebody else that you're working with? And how come, I have to use a coffee cup, a ring here, there's rings on the coffee table and you need to use a coaster. And I don't remember doing that. And Ravonna says, no, you do it every time. I think Mobius may not know these things are going on, or whether it's a mind wipe, or whether we're flipping with timelines here, or whether the multiverse is already happening and the TVA is just fooling themselves into believing that they're controlling the timeline. Maybe that's what we're going to get, but there's something going on there, and they spent a lot of time, and there was some sketchy dialogue in those moments. And so the last prediction, I told you to be mindful of these times and events, especially when they give you times, and then when they don't, and they show you things that you need to kind of pick up on your own. These things are going to be very important moving forward. These other items are just world-building exercises, and then things to kind of explain the multiverse to us in very subtle ways, so that when whatever big reveal is coming, because we've already seen the villain or the anti-hero, so to speak, in episode 2, when there's another big reveal coming, when that happens, we're going to know all the rules, we're going to know what's happening, and it's going to throw us for a little bit of a loop, but it's also going to we're also going to understand it in a way that, oh, that's amazing, that's so trippy, and we're going to have to go back and rewatch some of this, I think. So be aware of these things, but there's a lot of fallout and a lot of conversation that has to happen in here for us to really sink our teeth into. But some big things have to happen in this next episode, especially because this will put us halfway through with the series, and I think whatever happens in this episode is going to set the tone for episodes 4, 5, and 6 with our big reveal, maybe in this episode, and then cleaning it up in 4 and 5, and then 6 kind of wrapping it up in a nice bow somehow. That's all I've got for you guys. This is a very hard show to predict. There's so many different things going on, and there's a lot of Easter eggs that are giving us hints that we haven't been able to touch on yet. So please tell us what you think. Tell us if our predictions are close to yours. If you have some crazy predictions that have been right that we haven't thought of yet. As always, guys, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications so whenever we drop new content, you'll be the first to find out. And if you are subscribed to our channel, share our videos. Let other people in on the fun, and we'll get the multiverse involved in the after credits scene. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.